Here are 13 tips to help set up the perfect productivity desk for students with ADHD. The first tip is to use sticky notes because they are great for reminders. If you need to remember something specific, then you write a sticky note and put it somewhere on your desk. Now, the other thing that you could also do is use it for communication. If you know your parents are coming by or you need to make sure to leave a note for your roommate, then you also have a sticky note for that as well and put it somewhere where everyone can see it. So these are two great ways that you can use sticky notes. And keep in mind, sticky notes make great labels because you can put it on a box. And if you don't know what's inside or want to remind yourself what's inside, put a sticky note on there, or you put it on a particular area of your desk to remember, okay, this is where that thing goes, or this is where I should look for that specific thing. And you don't want to use the regular adhesive labels on your desk unless you want it on there permanently, because once you put it on, it's been on there for a while, it's much harder to actually take that off and get it off your desk. So use sticky notes instead, unless you want that label on there permanently. And here's the next tip. Have some sort of fidget device, fidget toy at your desk because sometimes it helps you focus and concentrate and just makes you more comfortable while you're sitting there trying to study. It could be a fidget spinner, fidget cube, whichever one that you like. You just have one. You can have multiple ones there if you want to. And then when you get into the mode where you need it, you just grab it and then use it, and you can keep on studying and keep on focusing on whatever you're trying to do. And if you are in college, sharing a dorm with a roommate, then having these instead of bouncing your leg or doing something that might disturb them is much better. Now, another type of light that may be beneficial for you is called a happy light. Now, what this is a light you put off kind of to the side to where you can see the light, but don't look directly into the light. And so the reason this is good is because it helps to kind of get your body back into the circadian rhythm. It's a light that helps you recognize it's morning, it's daylight outside. So if you're in an area where you don't get a lot of light, or in a dorm, you don't get a lot of light in the dorm, or you get to the point to where it's really shorter days, gloomy days, things like that, then this light is supposed to help you recognize, hey, this is daytime, and then you turn it off after a little while and then recognize this is nighttime. That's the point of the light. I do want to give a disclaimer that it may not work for everybody, but some people do actually get a lot of benefit out of it. So just something to think about and try. And the next tip is to have some sort of sports drink at your desk when you're trying to read, study, get ready for an exam, anything mentally intensive for extended periods. You need to have a sports drink that you can sip on. And the reason is, and this is what Dr. Russell Barkley explained, is that as you're doing executive functions or things that actually tax the executive functions, you need to keep your blood glucose levels up. And so this is a way for you to replace the glucose as you are using it up. And you do not want to gulp it. You just want to sip it as you're going through reading, studying, trying to take an exam, an online exam, or whatever you're trying to do that's mentally intensive. Now, something else you need to have at your desk is going to be something you can write on. Notepads, notebooks, dry erase board, whatever you want to have there, you need to have something you can take notes down on or write things down on. Because when you're dealing with ADHD and you're trying to remember things, it's going to be really hard for you to remember one thing and try to take in more information at once and try to remember that thing. And then maybe you have to remember something else. And you're trying to work all that through as you're thinking about in your brain. Instead, what you want to have is these notepads and things you can actually go through and say, okay, I'm trying to remember this one thing. You write it down, you get all the information out of your brain, get all the information out of your working memory, and then you have more working memory to actually take in other things, to actually remember other things. Because with ADHD, you do have a limited short-term memory, you do have a deficit in that area, and so you need to compensate for that by having things that you can just write things down on. And the other thing about this is, once you have written it down, then you know that you have gotten all the information, or you can go back and double check that, make sure you have gotten all the information. But the point is to free up that working memory, to make it easy for you to not have to remember a whole bunch of things at once, to make it so that you can go ahead and just get that information down to somewhere else as you're taking in more information, and making it easier on yourself to make sure you get the information correct. And something else that you need at your desk that's really simple is going to be pens and pencils. Pencils you're going to need for math, generally because you do make mistakes, have to erase things and correct things. Pens just for anything else. Now make sure the pens that you have do actually work. I have been in a situation where I buy a whole bunch of pens, even the more expensive types of pens. I'll get to wanting to write something down and they don't work. So if you have pens at your desk, go through them, find the ones that work, and the other ones that don't work, go ahead and throw those away. And if you're accident prone, and only if you're accident prone, get mechanical pencils over regular pencils, because it's happened to adults, to teenagers, to kids, that you might sharpen your pencil a little bit too sharp, be writing on whatever you want to write on, slip up and end up with lead in your finger. And if this has ever happened to you, you know that it's not fun trying to get that lead back out of your finger. So if that is you, if you're accident prone, then get mechanical pencils over regular pencils. And by the way, limit the amount of pens and pencils at your desk, because if you do have too many, it can just clutter up your desk. And the next tip is have some sort of desk organizer so you can keep your pens, your pencils, your sticky notes, whatever else you might need for your class on your desk organized, because you don't want to just have stuff all spread out over your desk, just loose, because then you're trying to find something and maybe under something. You may have papers here, papers there, trying to find your pen, your pencil, whatever you need to find, and you can't find it. So all the essential stuff that you actually need, put it into the desk organizer so you have access to it. You don't have to go looking around for it. You can find it really quickly and easily, and it won't prevent you from getting through your studying or taking a test or taking a quiz or whatever you're trying to do at the time. Now, if you do have a drawer on your desk as well, sometimes you do have them, and so you want to get a drawer organizer inside your drawer to put extra stuff in there to make sure that it's still organized in that drawer. So then if you need it, you can open the drawer and get right to the thing that you need. And it's common nowadays that when you go to school or studying or anything like that, you probably have a laptop. So you want to get a laptop stand. And all this does is basically elevates your laptop so that you can have other stuff under it. And the laptop is not taking all the space of the desk up. And then you're trying to kind of figure out, okay, where am I going to get space to write this, or have this thing here, or have something else here that I can use and kind of spread out. That way you have all that desk space that's under the laptop that you can use for something else. And here's something you may not think you need, but I think it's really good to have one. It's a footrest, because when you're studying at a desk, going through, trying to figure out everything, going through assignments, everything like that, and you know you have to be at the desk for quite a while, then having a footrest there somewhere to just rest your feet just is more comfortable, just feels good. If you've never had one, go get one, try it out, see if you like it. But it's really more about being comfortable as you're studying, because you study better, you remember things better when you're comfortable, because being in a seat for a long time, trying to study, go through, write papers or whatever you're going to do, can be quite uncomfortable. And so you might as well be comfortable as you're doing those things. And here's something else that's really about being comfortable as you study. It's going to be a blanket or an electric blanket, because I know when I'm cold or when other people are cold, it's really hard to study and pay attention to what you're doing. If you're just like shivering and freezing, or just like, hey, it's just so cold in here, you're probably gonna just be thinking about that rather than trying to figure out your assignment or go through and try to study and try to pay attention to that. So being comfortable as you study, as you're taking in information, is going to help you be able to take that information better. So this is just a comfort thing for you. And something else that's going to be good to have in your desk to help your study environment be the best that it can be is going to be a diffuser. It's really hard to study or pay attention to anything if the area you're in does not smell really good. And so just to make you more comfortable, make it so that you're not paying attention to that as well, that you just have a diffuser you can put on, get a better smell on there. Some of the different essential oils and things are supposed to help with studying and paying attention as well, or relaxation, depending. I don't know a whole bunch about that, but I do know that I have a diffuser and I do put some different oils in there, different things in there, and I like the smells of the different oils and things like that. Now, if you do a roommate, you do have to kind of ask them, hey, do you mind if I put my diffuser on and give some better smells, in here and stuff like that, so that you're both enjoying the smells and the aroma and everything. And the next tip is have one of those big pink erasers, because when you have a pencil or mechanical pencils, those erasers are pretty bad and come off all the time. They'll break into 2 or 3 different pieces a lot of times. And so it's just frustrating to like try to erase something and just not be able to erase it because the eraser's broken on your pencil. And so just having one of these erasers, you do not have to worry about that. And it's going to last you a much longer time through multiple pencils as well too. And if you want to know more tips about studying with ADHD, click on the video on the screen right now.